Hello everyone. It's James again. And before I start today's video, I just want to quickly say, all work in this video contains 100% original content of and by myself James Smith, otherwise known as Bgood 4000, and was uniquely created with NAWMAL software, by myself James Smith. As I purchased commercial rights from NAWMAL to produce my unique and original video with this software. Commentary is uniquely my own thoughts, feelings, and expressions. Now that I have that out of the way, I do hope your day is going way better than fantastic. And your journey to self-betterment is going way better than fantastic as well. And I want to say, thank you all for your wonderful messages and comments. There has been so much interaction on not just my new videos, but some of you are going back and watching my old videos too. I want to say thank you from the bottom of my cartoon heart. Thank you for finding value in my work and in this channel. It really means a lot to me. And I want to give a thank you to those helping and supporting by the way of Patreon. Here's the thing. There are channels here on this platform that are barely squeaking by. And even some channels that are a little bit on the bigger side. I've even heard them mention that they are having a tough time with the changes that have been made on this platform as well. I've mentioned there was a time many of us were on the verge of doing this full-time and as our job. A job where we would use our talents and skills to make content to help others. And that chance seemed to be cut down super quick. Why? Why would some want to make it difficult for people out there to make content that could be helpful to others and them living a better life? And this goes to the theme of this video. I recently watched a video of a famous figure, let's just say in the intellectual field, where he was interviewed by a very famous interviewer. And he was asked about in a somewhat negative way of his supporting of lonely men. Because someone else had mentioned it in a negative way. And this interviewer was asking him the same question, with almost the same tone. And this man started to tear up. And basically said, there was a time when someone would try to step forward and help out people that were alone and marginalized. Now what I'm going to say doesn't just apply to men. It applies to all of us that have been traumatized by the many narcissists in our lives. However, the example of men in our society is really telling. From what we are seeing play out in society right now, right in front of our eyes, sadly. You see, narcissists will create. They will literally create artificial situations that look organic. Because they want to turn certain people into the scapegoat. And they want certain people to lose it and pop simply so they can point the finger and say see. We live in a world where the bar keeps moving up and up and up and up. To where barely anyone can compete. And in regards to dating. Men are told if you aren't a millionaire then you can't enter the dating world. So for those of you wonderful ladies on my channel that aren't aware, if you are a man and have a basic or average job, you are considered undesirable and undateable. Who are the ones that are considered dateable, you might ask? Well, it's either the lowest of the low, or what society considers to be the highest of the high. The lowest of the low would be someone that is possibly a criminal, someone dangerous, someone without a job, sitting at home, playing video games and thinking of his next criminal scheme, all the while living off of a successful or hard-working woman. Then you have the millionaire, or someone around that level, with no regards to if he is a psychopath or if he is a narcissist. Just what does he have? And what kind of a fun time can he show me? However, the guy that is in the middle, even if he's great looking, has a great personality and is charming to one degree or another, he's considered to be undateable and not desirable by society's standards. And what society does is it piles on top of this fact, and tells said men to step it up. And fair enough. I think we all could step it up in one way or another. But that's not the message here. However, it's a message of, if you don't become a millionaire, you will never date. You will never have so-called love. And I say so-called, Because if someone will only love you because of you being a millionaire, they do not love you and will never love you. Nor will they respect you either. Respect comes from someone seeing your character traits and admiring them. And then over time respecting you as a person because of these moral ethics and values you possess. If you have money, great. But money doesn't equal respect. Because there are lots of people out there with money that aren't good people. And there are many people that don't have money that aren't good people either. And here's the truth. No one is truly good. As the Bible teaches us, we are all sinners. But I think you know what I mean. There are broke narcissists and rich narcissists. People that lack empathy, remorse, guilt, and the ability to say I'm sorry or I'm ashamed for my wrongdoings. And this is where admiration and respect come from. In my last couple of videos where I spoke about you are not a loser, and trying to get every one of you to see, both men and women, that you have something to offer, even if you appear to be ordinary. Because I believe the Most High, our Heavenly Father, puts a certain code inside of us that allows us to be special and different from the rest. Why? Because He loves us so much and wants us to be able to have special abilities that allows us to make it in this harsh world, for one. And for two, to be able to get some enjoyment and to be able to love and progress in life. To do His will and commands. But in those last videos, I mentioned the Rocky movies. And if you haven't had a chance to watch them, I strongly urge you to take some time. Sit down and watch. I promise you. You might need a box of tissue with you because there will be many things that will touch your heart and your soul. And there will be many things that both you men and women will be able to identify with. Even watch Rocky 5. The one known as the least favorite. As it heavily touches on being careful who you trust and having boundaries. And how even when you give your all to a narcissist it's never enough. And you are accused of not doing enough. But what you will get in these movies when we are talking about the man-woman dynamic is Adrian's admiration, respect, and love for Rocky. And that admiration and respect and love grew and grew and grew throughout the movies. You see, though Adrian was very shy in the beginning of the series, with her glasses and tons of layering of heavy sweaters, I believe she was very observant of her surroundings and the people in her neighborhood. Though she didn't talk much, she probably observed a lot. And she likely knew who Rocky was growing up even before they became adults, as they were all from the same neighborhood. And for those of you that watched the first Rocky, you will know Rocky's job in that movie was as a collector for a mafia man that gives high interest loans to people that can't go to the bank. Not a great job at all. However, even when Rocky is told to rough up someone because they don't have all of the money that week, Rocky is unable to do so. Why? Because Rocky knows the difference between right and wrong and he has empathy. And that's the theme you see throughout the movies. Especially the first one. When we are getting to know his character, he's often lending his time and help to those around him that need it. Even the drunk guy outside the bar, Rocky picks him up on his back and brings him inside out of the cold, and to sit him down in a chair. Rocky, who had very little, no family like many of us, alone, except for his extremely loud and negative friend Polly. He has a job he doesn't like at all, and lives in a crummy apartment. Yet, he still finds the time to be kind and helpful to others, along with showing happiness and encouraging words to those that need it. And he only shows his sadness briefly when he's alone in his crummy apartment looking at his old photos taped to his mirror on the wall. I believe Adrian over the years came to understand Rocky, though being very tough, was a man of principle and love, even if he had little to no money. That is why she started to date him, even before he was offered his 1-in-a-million shot to fight for the heavyweight championship of the world. And throughout the series he gains wealth and then ends up in poverty again. And why does Adrian stick by him? Because she not only loved that man, because she respected him as well. And it's the things that made her respect him, made her love him as well. You see, she could have left him at any point in the series and said, "Let me do better. Financially, that is." But what kind of man would she have truly met tied to that wealth? This goes back to Adrian's time as an introvert, where she just observed the world going on around her and everyone in it. And I'm sure she watched and overheard people in her neighborhood that were up to no good. And that weren't just up to no good, but she could tell they had no empathy. They enjoyed scamming others. It didn't bother them regarding the evil they were doing. However, being a loan sharks collector greatly bothers Rocky. So much so, every time Polly would ask to get a job with him, Rocky would always say, "It's a terrible job." And then he would change the subject, as he didn't want anyone else doing what he was doing. Even though Rocky was on the wrong side of things, he had a strong moral compass. And it was the strong moral compass that, in my opinion, that earned Adrian's respect for Rocky. And sadly, in today's society, women aren't taught to pick men based on these virtuous things. So if you are a virtuous man, not a perfect man, but a man with a strong moral compass trying to do your best, and for whatever reason you aren't a millionaire, you are called undesirable and undateable, which is turning into a societal problem. Because more and more are you seeing people act out in society in a negative way. Both men and women out there doing some horrible things. However, when some young men end up doing something really horrible, if you know what I mean, you never hear anyone address it being a product of the negative direction society is going. And how we can prevent this from happening. You see, the vast majority of people are highly influenced by what the societal puppet masters say is in style and what they say is out of style. There was a time in the 20s, let's say, that both equally, if you were a man or woman, if you walked out of your marriage and family, you were considered to be not such a good person. And when I say walked out, I'm talking about running off with some random other person to have the party life. I'm not talking about leaving for real reasons and acceptable reasons, such as being abused. Because believe it or not, both men and women were still engaged in mistreating each other way back then. But what we are talking about is the average run-of-the-mill person. Society propped up this message for the women, that if you had a morally right, hard-working man, you won basically. And they put out all kinds of things showing this type of man to be respected and decent and to be well liked. And guess what? Marriages lasted. Now this type of man is shown to be undateable and undesirable. And now you have a population of men where a woman hasn't even looked their way. And many of these men aren't socially awkward. They are hard-working and even decent-looking guys. But society and social media has said if you don't date a man that doesn't have a Lamborghini and isn't making more than 6 figures a year, then this man is trash and doesn't come close to measuring up. Then you have these lonely men not doing so well. And the news and the media just pile on. Instead of saying, hey, these are people with feelings too. And let's look at our society and how these men and women for that matter ended up where they ended up at. But that's the trick, isn't it? For those of you that grew up with a narcissist parent or parents, you know that they create the problems and use these problems as a way to get supply. And they use their problem children as scapegoats. And that's what societal narcissism is doing. It's creating these problemed people. And then when they pop, they don't look to fix the problem. They look to use it as a way to gain supply and to have someone to point the finger at. This is where I say, no matter who you are, man or woman, please know we live in a world where narcissism is running wild. And narcissists are looking for you to act out. And also know there are some decent people out there. You just have to get out and about and live your life. And give yourself a chance. Because here's the thing. Most people, not everyone, but most people can't be alone for the rest of their life. This is why people lose their minds in prisons or solitary confinement. Mother Teresa even said how terrible it is for people to be lonely. Our God is with the lonely and broken-hearted. He's with those that have no one. He is there. And that's where you might consider turning towards if you have faith or if you are a believer. Seek out God. And seek out His love. And know that He will likely put you in the right situations where you might meet the right people when He deems fit for you and your life. Because here's the thing. He knows not everyone should be in our lives. As He loves us and wants to protect us from evil. And this world is getting more and more evil by the day. So the protection, I believe, is going up. I mean, do you want to be with someone that will just use you? Or someone that doesn't see you for the human qualities that you have? The fact is, society has been brainwashed to put certain things above others. And these things that society is now valuing is narcissism. Unchecked and celebrated narcissism. Just don't let yourself be the scapegoat. No matter how bad it gets. Don't act out. Because you don't know what goodness the Most High, our Heavenly Father Jesus the Christ, has waiting for you. There are videos or many movies. Or many clips where they show someone to be rejected for whatever reason. Maybe they didn't have enough money. Or they came from the wrong side of the tracks. Or they weren't pretty enough. And then one day they were able to better their life. In what way God chooses to better your life is up to God. The truth is, He might not make you a millionaire. Because He might know that it could cause you more harm than good by doing so. And then it's possible He might. Because He knows you will be able to wisely use your money to do His will and live a good life. But just know. If you act out and do something that could derail the entire process, you are not only falling right into the narcissist's hands, but right into Satan's hands as well. And they will forever use you as a scapegoat. Remember, you're not a loser. You have great qualities. Society has its problems right now. Just do the best you can. Yes. Try to self-improve. Though making more money isn't everything. This might help you get out of the job you hate and onto doing things you truly love and enjoy. But no matter what your financial or societal standing is, do your best to put your best foot forward. You are blessed and highly favored. You are blessed and highly favored. With that said, I do hope your day is blessed. And until next time, bye for now. And be good to yourself.